So today my paper is about Blake's oak and the Taiwanese deity Nezha. This is my the structure of my paper. First part would be about oak, and next is about Nezha. The third part would be a comparison of the two, and then the fourth part, Nezha in Taiwan. Um, So the first part, Oak in Blake and the modern interpretation. Blake's Oak is a mythological character, usually seen as the embodiment of rebellion, which inspires revolutions. This paper wishes to contrast Oak with a similar mythological and religious character, Naja, in Chinese and Taiwanese culture. Sorry. Oak in Blake, Oaks appears in Blake Lambert's books, Continental Prophecies, America, Europe, Book of Urizen, and later Jerusalem and the Four Zoas. The most detailed and fully discussed book of the interpretation of Oak is probably Christopher Hobson's The Chained Boy, Oak and Blake's idea of revolution. Despite his disputable Marxist interpretation. In Hobson's analysis, oak is the rebellious energy against psychic, sexual, social, and political oppressions that Urizen stands for. Urizen, loss, and oak are interpreted as restraint, imagination, and resistance. In the Book of Urizen, Oak was born as the child of Los and Anithaman with fierce flames. And I quote, blasphemous demon, antichrist, hater of dignities, lover of wild rebellion, and transgressor of God's laws. He was chained by Los, his father, to the rock on the mountain. The image of Oak appears to be a youth running in the flames. Later, Oak changed to the form of a serpent, a satanic image. He rebels against Urizen, the symbol of tradition. When Urizen stopped fighting Oak, Oak became Luva, one of the four Zoas, representing love and passion. The second part, Naza in Chinese tradition and transformation. Naza probably
Mei doing her paper.
originated from India and became a Buddhist and Taoist deity.
What is that?
I can hear you. In China, he was later associated with the historical figure Li Jing, the general of the Tang Dynasty, becoming his son. From Buddhist sutras and folklores, the story evolved and is best known from the famous 17th century Chinese novels. Canonization of the gods, 封神演义, and the journey to the west, 西游记, of late Ming Dynasty. In the novels, Naza was the third child of the military commander Li Jing in the Shang Dynasty. His mother was pregnant with him for 3 years and 6 months and gave birth to a ball of flesh. Li Jing thought it was a demon and cut it with a sword. Naza jumped out from the ball with weapons. The character was a talented, brave, but unruly youth with bright and dark sides. At the age of 7, Naza accidentally killed the son of the East Sea Dragon King, Li Jing. Li Jing was outraged and planned to kill Naza. Instead, Naza committed suicide, carving up his own flesh and dismembering his bones, returning them to his parents. There are two contradictory interpretations on the act. one referring to his anger to cut the tie with his parents, the other being filial piety to avoid getting his parents into trouble. Naza's mother built a temple to bring him back to life, but his father destroyed it. He was later resurrected from a lotus by his deity teacher. Naza then sought for vengeance upon his father. With other deities' intervention, the father and son stopped fighting and came to reconciliation. Later in Taoist religion, Naza became a protective god called the Lotus Third Prince, or Marshal of the Central Altar. In Taiwan, the temples celebrating Naza grew in numbers and became a popular culture. Right. The third part is a comparison. Firstly, youth. Both characters appear to be young boys. They stand for the new life, the opposition of old tradition and authorities. The second, fire. Both characters are associated with fire, symbolizing energy and destructive force. In Europe, a prophecy, and I quote, Albion's angel howling in flames of oak, end of quote. While Naza was given the whale with wind and fire after resurrection. Rebel. Oak's other form is the snake. Modern scholarships identify it to be the personification of revolutionary energy. Urizen, I quote, made oak in serpent form, compared stretch out and up, mysterious tree, end of quote. This means revolution's satanic image was compared by the authority. Similarly, Naza was regarded as a demon because of his unconventional birth. Naza's rebellion was not evil but impulsive, and the demon image was imposed by his father. Oedipus complex. The family relations in both contexts were shared father-son conflict and mother-son bond. Similar to the Freudian theory of the Oedipus complex. A 4-page illustration in the Book of Urizen on the left here shows Oak embracing Anitharman while Los looking at him jealously. Naza's father, Li Jing, tried to kill him at his birth and after his resurrection. In turn, Naza also sought revenge on his father. Constraint. In the Book of Urizen, Oak was bound to the rock by Los with a chain of jealousy. For Naza, his impulsive character gave his parents headaches and caused pain for other people. The antisocial behaviors led to his suicide. The act of cutting his own bones and flesh, returning them to his parents, was to dismiss the bond and constraint from the family. Death resurrection. Although Blake did not literally say Oak was crucified and died, in the phozoas, Oak's chain grew into the rock and was unable to unchain. 2 illustrations in America show a young man identified to be Oak, climbing up from the earth on the top here, and sitting on a grave, looking up to the sky. They refer to the resurrection or a new life with his own will. Naza, on the other hand, killed himself and was resurrected by his teacher with magic. In the story, the resurrection was also owing to Naza's strong will to come back to life. Transformation. Finally, both figures gained the heroic transformation. Although there were still struggles after their resurrection, Orc became Luva, love and passion, and Nazar became a protective god. In terms of meaning, Blake's Orc represents the repressive force of the human psyche, and the story of Nazar tells a similar process from human rebellion to redemption through filial piety. The difference is Blake tried to describe a universal psychic and social phenomenon in a symbolic way, while Nazar's story came from a literary form of human struggle to religious moral teaching. Modern scholarship reads Orc as a reflection of the French Revolution and the terror of 1793 to 95. In historical reading, Orc was Blake's understanding of the contemporary revolution. My historical reading of Nazar would be the current conflict between Taiwan and China and the struggle of Taiwanese self-identity. Nazar in Taiwan. Nazar in modern Taiwan has a special meaning and it reflects in the cinema. In 1992, the film Rebels of the Neon God, or Teenage Nazar, depicted two high school kids lost when facing their future. Nazar was the rebellious youth. In the 1990s, electric techno neon gods became popular religious and festival performances. A performance group of folk arts called 9天 Folk Drums and Art Troupe combined the traditional Taiwanese folk dance performance called Dintao with modern pop music. As a result, during religious parades, people dressed as Nazar, wearing oversized sunglasses and neon LED lights, white gloves, danced with electric music at local temples. Following the trend, the films The Spin Kid or Electric Nazar, Din Tao, leader of the parade, and TV series The Summer Temple Affair were all inspired by Nazar, the neon god. Invariably, they all portray father-son relations and the young generations return to their hometown and search for origins. At the end of the journey, they found a new identity by fusing tradition with the modern subculture. Nazar became one new identity of Taiwanese young people. In 2014, a university student at Wu made a world tour dressed as the electric techno neon god Nazar. He later became a documentary photographer wishing to introduce Taiwan to the world. In comparison with the reception of Nazar in China, with literary and leisure approach, Nazar is seen as a religious deity and a protective god in Taiwan. By activating the ritual of Nazar, Taiwanese see themselves as the energy and spirit of rebellion against patriarchal China. In conclusion, Blake's universal spirit of rebellion tells an everlasting story in different cultures. Quite clearly, Blake's Orc has no historical connection with Nazar whatsoever. However, the universal rebellious spirit of the youth shares characters and cross-culturally thrives everywhere in the world in our time. In a way, Blake was indeed a prophet. Thank you.